No, there's no influence of Strahd, Delcorin. This cheese dip is Strahd free. It does not have Barovian salsa, aka guacamole. Arthurn says, yeah, at least I'm getting ready for my full run in 40k soon with a whole chapter of Primaris Space Marines. Are we talking Dark Heresy? Or I guess War and Glory, now in its current incarnation? Or are you talking the miniature game, the tactical miniature game? Gotcha. Well, as a fan of Tyranids, I will see you as an honored enemy, and I would be proud to eat your Marines, so that they can nourish my gene pool. Yep. The Gilly Man is alive again. And he's making the Imperium of Man a little nobler, a little brighter against the grim darkness of the far-flung future here. Oh, Garrett, thank you for being the ambassador. It is mucho apreciado. Ooze says, fun fact, Grim Darkness is a one word. Yes, things are... I mean, Grim Dark has become its own thing from Grim Darkness itself, but I love that, you know, the culture around a storyline in a game becomes alive as we tell that tale and we experience it and we become a part of it ourselves. Oh, you're stuck at work? Well, thank you. Thank you for passing on the howdies to the rest of the nerds over there, Gareth. And if we can entertain you with our chat here while you're at work, then I'm happy to do so. And certainly, you all can continue the conversation here. I'm going to start talking about followers, but look, this is an interactive conversation. Considering we talked about eggnog and vampires before this, anything is viable here. Again, as long as it's PG-13. That was all I ask. Certainly, you don't have to build a stronghold to attract followers. Followers can be rewarded for any number of famous deeds or accomplishments. If the heroes save the town or rescue the blacksmith, they might well attract some followers. Backstories. Attracting followers means lots of new characters in your game, and that can be a lot of work for the GM, inventing backstories for everyone. We've done our best to shoulder some of that burden by giving examples of the many followers someone could attract, but we don't know enough about your setting to describe an orc ambassador, for instance, without making a lot of assumptions that would conflict with many settings. So that means the GM has to invent and describe the warlocks or stone giants who show up. And for some GMs, that's a lot of fun. It's neat to have these seeds prompting you to create. Oh, a unit of light cavalry shows up. I wonder where they're from. But this can also be a pain in the butt depending on what kind of GM you are or even what mood you're in. So you can always just ask the player who rolled to describe their new follower to you. I like that as a prompt, by the way. I think that's good, solid advice to DMs and PCs alike. This can be a lot of fun for them and make them feel more like part of the creative process. Of course, some players won't like this. For some players, if they invented it, then they know it's not real and the illusion of reality fails. As you play with folks, you'll learn which players are which. But it's perfectly legitimate to crowdsource these followers. Ask the player who rolled to describe their follower. Ask another player to. Make them part of the process and part of the fun. Of course, you're still the GM, so you'll have to approve it. Units. A local military company arrives and pledges services to the PC. These soldiers are usually from nearby kingdoms that recently suffered a defeat in battle, or they served a noble who was overthrown, and they're hoping that pledging service to you will lead to long-term employment and new victories. Your character still has to pay the upkeep for these units, but you don't need to pay the cost to recruit them. Units recruited in this way have the same ancestry as the owner of the stronghold. Attracted airborne units are typically riding griffins or giant eagles at the GM's discretion. Ah, the leadership feat. And I think this is seeking to supplement something similar to that. Because 5th edition dances around that a little bit. But there's not a direct... Because they want to keep 5th ed simple, a little bit more streamlined, and followers can complicate things. What can I do with units? I think the number one use of military units, at least at first, is defending your new stronghold against those who resent this upstart and scheme to take it all from you. But once that's over with, you can send your new army off to tame local lands or start conflicts with nearby regions or acquire new territory and resources. Armies are used to project power or take over nearby territories or defend allies. Feel free to be proactive and put your army to work. Retainers. Since your character is an adventurer, it's not at all surprising that other less famous adventurers hear the tales of your character's deeds and show up pledging service. These are called retainers and have their own rules. Each retainer must be of a lower level than your PC. If your PC built or acquired a stronghold at an unusually low level, say below 7th, just adjust the result of the roll downward. An example, the Baron of Tor awards Sir Razalax the deed to Greywall Keep. Sir Razalax is a 5th level paladin and, upon completing renovations and defending the keep, he rolls a 49 on the paladin followers chart and gets a 7th level warlord. Because this follower is higher level than Sir Razalax, it is automatically lowered to 3rd. Retainers are not PCs. A skinwalker is not a druid. It's an NPC who is taught a very narrow range of druid abilities. It cannot do most of the things a druid can do. If you find yourself regularly expanding a retainer's abilities, if you think this skinwalker should be able to heal, since druids can heal, it's probably better to just use a druid. Yeah, in fact, Gareth, I have, in the PHB, I have the chapter open to this in case we do need to reference that. If you need to hire, if you have to have hirelings for different tasks, spellcasting services, and in the same chapter in the player's handbook, it does get into, booking passage on a ship and whatnot. So they're not really hirelings, but they are employees of a ship that would be responsible for getting you from point A to point B safely. Arthur says, yeah. So I was slowly introduced to 40k till last year with the news of the Fall of Cadia, my favorite fortress world. But I'm happy I'm particularly getting ready for the Vigilus Defiant campaigns. My friends are teaching me the needed stuff. So preparing for Chaos Marines to fight. 2019 Warhammer 40k is back to the surface and I'm happy about it. I'm glad that you are getting to indulge in a hobby that is bringing you creativity and enjoyment. On all the levels, it tickles you, Arthron. 40K is a venerable property. It's been around for a while, very well known. I've run a lot of Dark Heresy in my day at the tabletop, let alone fielding a bunch of gaunts or even some big bugs. And it is a lot of fun, and I'm very glad you're excited for it. Can a druid follower be a bear? Presumably. Any bear you see could be a druid. Cool, but not too cool. Remember, this is a lower level follower pledging services to a regent. They shouldn't have more or better magic items, but they can be cool. They can be neat or fun to run. Memorable. You don't want your high-level NPCs to outshine the players and steal their thunder. But a follower who's cool and memorable validates the player. Obviously, I am pretty awesome, the player thinks, if I have a follower like this. Followers obey their regent. They want to serve. They do not take the lead. GMs, if you find your player relying overmuch on advice or action from a follower, I recommend you have that the follower defer. Your Grace, you have seen so much more in the world than I. It would be absurd for me to advise you in this matter. Very well spoken advice. Now, you can have followers that are lieutenants. I think the first best use for your retainer is to act as your lieutenant who runs the show while you're away from your stronghold. Your lieutenant is a trusted advisor from whom you can rely on to do your bidding and carry out your orders. Because they are yours to run, lieutenants let you take demence actions even while you're off adventuring. You can also play your lieutenant as a PC should your current one die, or if you want to focus on two important things at once. Troubleshooters. If you attract more than one retainer, you now have a team who can travel your demence, righting wrongs, enforcing the law, and otherwise solving the lesser problems that are now, or you are now too high level and too important to deal with personally. Between your PC, your lieutenant, and any troubleshooters you attract, you could end up with an entire party to yourself to go on adventures with. Okay, I need to stay out of my 40k mindset due to me writing stuff for a Minecraft server that's having my free time removed lately. Also, spiders are a good idea for a rogue. Are you, so you're writing, Arthron, are you writing, like a Minecraft roleplay on a server? Or what's your Minecraft project? Also, Letter, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome aboard, and I hope you're enjoying the content. If you have questions, you can certainly ask them in chat. Retainers are excellent sources of story. You could say the lieutenant was corrupted by dark magic. Yeah, you can see as we're building and building, right? The scale of the story in which we're telling that involves these rules, suddenly the world is bigger. And there's a lot more moving parts than what a mobile party doing specific actions may ever encounter themselves. And just as it said here, you could end up, your PC is the quest giver NPC for another party that could be playing underneath you. A Minecraft RPG MMO. That's a cool project, Arthron, I'm sorry. Arthron of Fear. Or Fire, if that 3 is an E. Vale says, me and my group got in good with a specific government in our campaign. As a reward, we were given a fully crewed ship. We don't use it often, but it's a really cool, unique reward. And you know what? Maybe you just have it run in the background and say, look, Captain, you know, stay legal. You know, don't get sunk or arrested. And I want 10% of the profits from the ship every month. and suddenly you have some background income and maybe some good stories that your DM can use through that ship. Simpler than player characters. Running a player character is actually quite a lot of work compared to almost any other kind of game we play. They're incredibly well detailed, with weapon proficiencies and skills and class abilities, and 6 stats with modifiers. Maybe spells, and by the time they've got a stronghold, over 50 hit points. 50 is a lot of anything to track, and we don't think of it that way because we're used to it, but it boils down to you're going to be doing a lot of addition and or subtraction between now and going unconscious. Good practical way to look at it. But it's our character. We want that level of detail. It reflects how important the character is to us and how complexly we view them. Do we need that same level of detail for a sidekick? For some people, yes, because with that detail comes flexibility and options, and with that comes power. And many players hate the idea that if only they'd spent more time reading what this second character could do, the second character and maybe the rest of the party would still be alive. This system trades power and flexibility for ease of use. Retainers have many fewer options, but they're still pretty useful and most of all easy to run along with your character. Retainers are like their PC counterparts but with simpler rules. There's one type of retainer for each class specialty, but these followers are not PCs and do not have PC stats. They sometimes have access to different skills, saving throws, or abilities. Let's see. Arthron, the Minecraft RPG. Have your captain privateer. Ooh, that could be used. It acts as a self-sustaining fishing vessel when we aren't around. Okay. You know, earning a reputation of its own coin. Arthron, based on the Meonite series, but with my area of fantasy, steampunk, and some sci-fi. Also, it's E for some leet speak there. Okay, gotcha. I'm not sure I'm familiar with the Meonite or Meonite series, but I think it's cool, Arthron, if you have a community who's playing on a Minecraft server, that you are creating content and a story for them. That's really cool and a great leadership role to take in an online RPG community. Hey, Corridor, welcome. It's great to see you back. Hard to kill. You cannot attract a follower equal to or greater than your level. So by definition, your followers are always lower level than your PC. Because of this, followers need to be tougher than a PC of equivalent level, so they can survive combat alongside their higher level... Well, it looks like a mistype. Their higher lever buddy. To do this, retainers ignore damage, and therefore healing, below a certain threshold. In fact, retainers don't have hit points at all. Health levels, not hit points. When the party cleric asks, okay, how much damage has everyone taken, and everyone at the table looks at their character sheet, you know you're in for a ride. Because depending on the habits of the players, they may already have to do some math. If a player keeps a running total of their current hit points, then they'll have to subtract that from their max hit points to give the cleric an answer. On top of this, the cleric inevitably asks, well, okay, but what does that compare to your total? Because obviously 30 damage can mean very different things to different characters at different levels. So the cleric wants to know what percentage of your health you have left. But no one ever asks that. That would mean even more math. In reality, both numbers are important to the cleric. You may have taken a large percentage of damage, but a low amount of damage. By the way, this is why I like the bloodied. I like the bloodied condition that was described in 4th edition D&D. You may have taken a large percentage of damage, but a low amount of damage, and that will inform the cleric's decision on whom to heal. Whoa, Mantarok is here. Mantarok, we welcome you. I wasn't aware that that the summoning circle had been activated. Clearly, someone is doing their job around here and is summoning our beneficent elders to join us in the channel. Due to people issues? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand that, Corita. Having to also do all the same nonsense for your follower is more work than we should need to do just to have a cool buddy. We're busy people. So, retainers do not track hit points, but rather health levels. A retainer's health levels equal in number to their hit dice or level. Each time a retainer is hit by an attack, they make a Constitution saving throw. The DC is the average damage from the attack. If they succeed, they take no damage. If they fail, they lose 1 health per die of damage from the attack. If they lose their final health level, they drop unconscious and use the normal rules for dying. Example: our 5th level Exarch is with her 7th level PC and the rest of the party. They're fighting 2 Earth Elementals, which is a reasonable battle for 5 7th level PCs. The Elemental hits our Exarch with a slam attack. Its average damage is 14 hit points, so our Exarch makes a Constitution saving throw against DC 14. She succeeds, so nothing happens. Notionally, she's taken some damage, but not enough to worry anyone. If she had failed, she loses 1 health level and has 4 remaining. Pretty simple. 1 roll, check off a health level box. If you fail, move on. This being said, I know you want to save on math. Do you want to tally it? Do you want to make the average of damage and all that? This is a good start and something to consider. If you want to use this in your, and you know what? If you use the average damage as presented in the monster manual, it's super easy. If you're rolling for everything, it can be not necessarily complex, but it can take up the time that this very section is aiming to try and save. Yeah, ooze. Hit points can represent a lot of different things. It's not just if you lose hit points, you've suddenly taken damage. It could be exhaustion. It could be mental fatigue. Your resolve to continue fighting. Things along those lines. How solid is your gear? After taking several hits, is it falling apart and exposing you? I actually prefer the way Stars Without Number explains hit points. Most of your hit points represent your skill in combat, your personal morale, and your luck. Only the last handful of hit points represent actual damage. I like that, Gareth. Vale, also, how do you calculate how many health levels they get back when they're healed by a PC? We're just getting to that. Healing is right up here. Okay, Arthron. I'm reading what you're putting here. And Corey sort of dovetailing with a little bit of history in there. Oh, gotcha. Gotcha, Corida. And thank you for explaining, Arthron. Gotcha. All right, Vale, healing. Retainers regain a health level after each short rest, and each die of healing used on them recovers 1 health level. We can imagine that any attack that hits a retainer does some damage, just not enough to matter. Likewise, the presence of abilities like Lay on Hands can recover some damage, just not enough to move the needle. So save that healing for your PC friends. Initiative. Retainers act when you act. If your retainer has a higher dexterity than you, you gain +1 to your initiative rolls. Armor class. That's pretty straightforward that you can see up there. Sorry that the green is bleeding a little bit into it. I don't know what's... I have some very bright lights on, and yet it's... I don't know. I might have to get a spotlight or something to help light it up. I did watch Shadow of Israfel, and I was really... I don't know if they ever continued it. I really liked it. I wanted to see where Shadow of Israfel would go, and the boys at Yogscast would always tease, like, we're gonna do it, or there'd be references in other Minecraft adventures that they'd go on. Yeah, I remember Shadow of Israfel, but yeah, I had not heard of Maya Knight. Oh, wow, Corrida. Yeah. Abilities or retainers are primary ability. They gain +4 to any ability checks with primary abilities, and they gain +2 to all others. A retainer's primary skills, they gain +5 to skill checks. This is kind of a quick and dirty way. In the Dungeon Master's Guide, again, I had this ready for you all as well. This is talking about followers, adventure NPCs and such, how you can track their loyalty. So there are rules in here in the DMG for it. So we could be considering alternate rules, or when it comes to building an NPC, which the DMG has an entire explanation for doing so, using strongholds and followers is an alternative that might be a little bit quicker or more direct method. Though, of course, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that we go through the NPC creation process. It's not necessarily that difficult to do. There's a great sort of flow to it and a way for you to create these compelling characters. Ancestry, perception, and movement. The GM chooses the ancestry of the retainer, which determines their perception, movement, and special abilities. Adventuring followers get all the regular actions PCs do. They can move and act, and they get reactions and bonus actions and attacks of opportunity. Additionally, all retainers begin with a signature attack they can perform each round. If granted extra attacks, these are always their signature attacks. As they gain levels, they unlock special actions. Each special action can only be used once per encounter, and each is limited in the number of times per day it can be used. The DC of a special signature attack is listed in its description. At 7th level, retainers can take 2 signature attacks per round. Attacking, or making an attack roll for your follower, is just going to slow everything down. And if you want to do that, you don't need these rules. You can just run your follower using PC stats and rules. If your PC hits an enemy, your follower hits with their signature ability, even if you and your follower are attacking different targets. Your success inspired your follower. If you miss, or simply don't attack on your turn, then you make an attack roll for your follower. For these purposes, a spell that deals damage or prompts an enemy to make a saving throw counts as an attack. Adventuring followers get +6 to hit with their attacks. This doesn't change. At the GM's discretion, you could improve this bonus by 1 at 5th and 7th level. Adventuring followers' spells and actions that require a saving throw start with so on and so forth. Gear. They have the starting PC of their class. Your retainers level up once every 2 times your PC levels up, capping out at 7th level. They gain special actions at 5th and 7th. Magic. Adventuring followers can use magic items like anyone else. A +1 longsword increases their attack, as per normal. One happy side effect of having followers is you can always pass your obsolete items onto them. Low-level items, once useless as a treasure for high-level characters, now have a use. And leaders. The characters who recruited the retainer is called their leader. This term is referenced in various actions and abilities. Oh, is Hightail like is that a Minecraft mod pack like Tekkit or Technet? No, it was Tekkit. Tekkit, Feed the Beast and the like. Oh, Hightail's a game, not just a Minecraft mod. Okay. I'm glad you two are having a good conversation about that. I feel, not that I can't understand the concept, but I feel lost in the details of it. And you can continue talking about it too. A group that made the first major community server, they formed a game studio. Oh, cool. Man, we're getting some behind the scenes stuff at what's happening in various gaming communities. All right, from here, we have pages of different types of followers. I don't want to go into the details of all of them. I mean, because that's going to take a lot of time. And plus, I want you all to be able to. I mean, if you have a specific one, you see it, and you're like, what does the Spirit Warden do? That's fine. But as you can see, the supplement is providing you with the sort of the stats and the a really good reference card for the various types of followers that you can pick up. And so the work is done for you, and it's just up to you to now run the follower. Reaver, Spirit Warden, Lore Master, a Troubadour Warrior, a Curate, an Exorcist, a Healer, a Shadow Priest, Storm Speaker, Warden, or Battle Priest. Druid Retainers, a Mystic, a Skinwalker, they talked about that earlier. Fighter Retainers, a Knight Sorcerer or a Sword Master, a Warlord. Monk Retainers, Acolyte of the Way, Acolyte of Darkness, an Elemental Acolyte. Paladins have Cavaliers, Justicars, and Knights of the Green Order. And you're going to see these, by the way. These show up in the tables up above for the type of people you can attract. So the guide is also self-referencing, so you can use the content within it as this is a source book in and of itself. Ranger Retainers, Beast Lord and Tracker, Rogue, an Executioner or a Guild Adept, a Cut Purse. Sorcerers have Thaumaturgists and Chaos Mages, or Chouse. Warlock Retainers, an Alienist, a Diabolist, an Exarch. In fact, an Alienist, a lot of these, if I were to look, are probably 3rd edition prestige classes. I'm fairly certain that there was an Alienist, sort of like wizard school where you would summon these extraplanar beings, and it was very spooky. Like you're worshiping space and planets and the like, or at least you're studying them and drawing on entities that live among the myriad stars. Wizard Retainers, Conjurers, Enchanters, Evokers, Illusionists, Necromancers, Seers, Shapers, and Thurgists. There was the Mystic Thurge was in 3rd edition, and it was a blend of Wizard and Cleric. You ended up getting spellcasting levels in both. It was... When it came to spellcasting, they were really good. They just didn't have a lot of hit points or a lot of anything else. So you had to be very careful if you're playing a Mystic Thurge. Artisans. It takes many skilled workers to build a keep or a tower or a theater. Commonly, one of these skilled laborers, impressed with the Lord's demeanor, will offer to serve the Lord permanently, becoming a member of their retinue, living in the stronghold or the surrounding village after the rest of the workers return to their towns. Each artisan in the Lord's service either grants the Lord some benefit or improves the stronghold some way. Where do artisan followers come from? Newly minted regents inspire people, but they also represent an opportunity for other people to fulfill heretofore thwarted ambition. The mason who sets up shop in a fighter's keep was probably one of the folks who helped build it. It takes several masons to build or restore a keep. One of them naturally assumed a leadership position over the others, was trusted by the nascent lord, and stayed on when the project was done. The mason probably has a family in a nearby town. Some of them might move to the keep, move to the village that slowly accumulates around the Lord's keep. A tailor who joins a lord in their wilderness stronghold may be a local townsperson seeking greater glory. The opportunity to serve a baron or a count. Or they may be someone from the nearest big city who's tired of serving folks that don't appreciate their handiwork, hearing tell of a newly landed noble building a keep, and decides it is better to be a big fish in a small pond than a little fish in a great wide ocean. The tailor from the big city brings with them all the prejudices of civilization, but also has all the knowledge that comes with it. Knowledge of court intrigues and fashion. Artisan shop improvement table. It's its own thing. Most artisans come with their own shop, which they set up for free, and which starts at first level. You can pay to improve it based on the artisan shop improvement table. This process takes 4 months or 1 season, and you cannot pay more to speed this up. The maximum shop level is 5. Harvesting organs to create magic items. If you've got a blacksmith, a scribe, or an alchemist waiting back at your stronghold, suddenly the corpses of the creatures you defeat in combat become bags of useful organs. Not just a smelly reminder of your triumph. With some corpses of magical creatures, normal people with no levels in a spellcasting class can craft magic items because the files are in the computer, or the magic is in the creature, in its organs. A dragon obviously can't fly under its own caloric power. That's ridiculous. It is a magical creature, and by the careful harvesting of its organs, you can distill some of that magic for your own use. In all cases, use the normal rules and requirements for crafting magical items. The artisan follower simply reduces the time and cost. In each case, a spellcaster is needed to imbue the item with the requisite magical power. The caster isn't using a specific spell, merely the arcane talent and magical knowledge necessary to manifest the item's ability. Mr. Plunderloot! Welcome to you, sir. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful Friday, well, now Saturday morning, at least here. We're discussing followers right now in the supplement, Mr. Plunderloot. Once a creature dies, its organs begin to decay. You must act within minutes of death to harvest anything useful. A monster corpse has 4 useful components described below, and each requires an alchemy test to harvest. An alchemy test combines 2 skill checks. First, an arcana check to determine if you know where the organs are and the best way to harvest the component. Then a medicine check to extract and preserve the component without destroying it in the process. It's like a mini skill challenge. The DC of the Arcana check to locate the organs, and remember the best way to extract them, equals 8 plus the challenge rating of the creature you're operating on. The DC of the medicine check to perform the surgery and extract enough useful material without destroying it depends on the organ in question and the challenge rating of the creature as shown in the alchemy test table. And I guess we'll flip to that here in a second. There it is. A given corpse can only withstand one alchemy test before it's unusable. Recipes. Crafting a magic item requires a recipe. A sword +1 isn't merely a normal weapon with bless cast on it during its forging. It requires special metals. For potions, unique admixtures must be chemically prepared. Scrolls require rare inks. In some cases, the item can only be made under special circumstances, like during a specific phase of the moon. In all these instances, it's assumed your follower knows how to procure just enough of these special materials to craft the item in question. How they get these materials is a trade secret, but it typically involves relying on a network of fellow craftsmen they established before joining your employ. Remember, there are presumptions built into the system that is presented to you in this supplement. And Mr. Colville is giving you those presumptions up front so that if you want to modify it by making things more intricate or just eliminating it for one reason or another to make things less intricate or just because you don't want it, you at least know why it's there and what role it serves. Oh, there goes the neighborhood, says D&M. Oh, Mr. Plunderloot, we were talking about eggnog earlier. Do you put anything in your eggnog? Do you enjoy it with some bourbon, or D&M's was talking about a little whiskey in eggnog? How do you celebrate this seasonal beverage? Corrida, I haven't watched Goblin Slayer yet, but I have been reading the manga. Plunderloot fixing to have to go into work, then a few hours of sleep. Well, if you have to go, Mr. Plunderloot, it was great seeing you. Hopefully you can pop in tomorrow for our final broadcast until after the new year. Eggnog is love. I agree, Volvo. It's good stuff. That SoCo eggnog is quite sweet. Yes, it is. I was actually looking at that earlier when I was at the store. It was that, or it was a custard eggnog, which is a lot thicker. I agree, Ooze. It is a mild version of Berserk. I have that manga series also. Issue 1 all the way up to the current. And of course, we're now getting them at like one volume every 2 years. So, and oh, what they've done to the new TV series, the CGI one. I weep. But you know what? I like the old TV version, even though it didn't have like a lot of the story. And a couple elements were changed. I still like it, especially if you watch it for the outtakes. Hoo-hoo. The alchemist is the wizard as the blacksmith is to the fighter. Closely related disciplines that nonetheless require so much specialized knowledge, it's functionally impossible to be a master at both. Alchemists are primarily useful for brewing potions, but many are also lore-crafty and well-versed in obscure uses for various materials. Yes, an alarm spell requires a bell, but do you know what happens if you use a crystal bell crafted by an elf maiden? I don't, but your alchemist might. Many wizards began life as alchemists in service to a lord. Eventually, frustrated by the limits of what alchemy can do, they set out to learn proper magic. The laboratory, or the laboratory. The laboratory allows your alchemist to craft potions 10% cheaper and faster than the normal level of the laboratory. The alchemist is not a wizard or sorcerer, but understands the principles of magic well enough to duplicate their effects while making potions. The kinds of potions your alchemist can make depend on the monster organs you bring them. We're playing Back to the Wild. Or, not Back to the Wild, Breath of the Wild. Back to the Wild is a local animal rescue. Regional, but it's not like they're next door or anything. They're not that local. But yeah, Back to the Wild. If you like supporting wildlife charities, look up Back to the Wild. And they recover animals that are hurt or distressed, especially if they're endangered. But they'll also treat mundane animals. and rehabilitate them and free them if they can, or otherwise give them a comfortable home if they can't. All right, there are all kinds of potions and things in here. Sample Alchemist, Brain of the Beast, Eyes of the Beast. Here's the alchemy test to make, arrows of monster slaying and such. The smithy, and by the way, this is a cool picture here with the one-armed orc. Your blacksmith can forge magic arms and armor. Like with the alchemist, it requires the blacksmith to have some knowledge of the nature of magic, but they don't need to be a wizard thanks to the incredibly potent arcane power. And so, much like the alchemist here, it's another way to go about creating items in your stronghold to support your character and your follower. Or your followers, plural. There's the example, blacksmith, the one-handed. You can get a captain. The experienced soldier, tired of campaigning abroad. The watch commander, sick of fighting endless crime in the big city. Any captain used to command might retire their post when they hear tell of a new lord or lady with a keep or tower to defend. Like other artisans, captains sometimes come from local villages the heroes saved. More than other artisans, the captain knows how hard an adventurer's job is, respects them. If you save the village from the conspiracy of lizard men in the swamp, the local watch captain may well decide it would be better to serve you than continue taking abuse from the town council, none of whom have ever lifted a sword. Captains like serving characters who act rather than deliberate. A captain can also serve ably as your lieutenant if you haven't yet rolled a retainer. Your captain will serve your domain while you adventure, protecting your interests and negotiating on your behalf to the best of their ability. Like all followers, the captain is loyal, but unlike the others, there's iron in the glove. With the power and authority to wage war, you may return to find your keep under siege. It's only defense, the strategy and tactics of your captain. A captain does not automatically come up with an army. It's entirely possible to recruit a captain in spite of having no troops, no army for them to lead. This is of little concern to the captain. They're certain you will need an army eventually, especially now that you have raised this lovely stronghold. Captains make excellent lieutenants running your domain, while you are adventuring abroad. And so the captain's shop, as an artisan shop, is the barracks. The first thing your captain does is supervise construction of a barracks. Your barracks temporarily upgrades the experience level of some number of units by 1. Green units become regular units become seasoned, etc. Your barracks can upgrade a number of units equal to its level. It begins at 1st level, 1 unit affected, and can be raised using the improvement rules to 5th level. The units affected are chosen at the start of a battle and cannot be changed until the next battle. And here is our example, Captain Horblek. Horblak. Herblurk. Dirk. A carpenter. You can build a stone keep or a castle without the aid of wood scaffolding, but would you want to? A woodwright's frames, blocks, and tackle, scaffolding all help your laborers, making 10 men work like 50. And of course, many of the structures in and around the stronghold are made of or use wood in their walls and frames. A 30-foot tall hollow cylinder of stone is a granary. Put some joists, frames, 2 floors, and some stairs in, and now you've got a tower folk can live in. And so now here's a carpenter's shop, and you can gain benefits from there. There's a farmer. You want to farm your lands. This supplement is giving you ways, if you want to delve into the minutia of running this world of your underneath your own PC, or if you're a DM and you want the PCs to interact with this world that has its own set of rules that you're wanting to manage, it is giving it all to you here broadly, but you can specify and wiggle as you see fit. You've been watching Goblin Slayer and dub. I hope it's been a good one, Corida. Alchemy being one type of magic does look appealing, says Ooze. Yeah, to make all the various potions, or to know that you have an in-house alchemist hanging back at your fortress, it is really it's good to know. I hope you can get an accountant. God knows my party needs it, says Vale. Yeah, Who's party treasurer? Well, in this case, the party's expanded because now you have all this responsibility. Oh, I'm not playing D&D to be responsible. I just want to kick in doors and kill orcs, right? Well, you are going to need a treasurer. You're going to need an accountant in some way, right? You have upkeep. You're responsible for people's pay, for taxes, and the like. Corrida says that he's jealous of his best friend. She has a friend at her job that she has a crush on, which I love her so, and her friend asked her to play D&D, so my best friend will be playing D&D with her crush. Well, I don't know. Would it be appropriate to ask or say, "Oh, I heard you're playing D&D. I look forward to telling, to hearing about the tales from your tabletop. But do you think there's room at the tabletop? So I would like to be able to play. If you're polite about it, it might not hurt. Obviously, use your own common sense in that sort of a situation. But D&D is a social game. If you wanted to ask yourself to come along, though, if there's relationships at the tabletop that can be awkward at times, whether they're friendships or more. And so just make sure you're using good discretion when navigating those waters, Corrida. That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime is a great series about a fantasy stronghold. Ooze. Good reference. In fact, Ooze, by your name, perhaps you have been reincarnated? Are you speaking? Is that a tale of personal plight and struggle? To overcome the odds? To rise up from your blob-like form? And become something bigger and greater? With all kinds of arguably overpowered powers? Hannah, thank you very much for the follow and welcome. I hope you've been enjoying the conversation, the content. If you have... Ooh, slithers away. So, Hannah, if you have any questions on what we're doing, or you want to... whether it's about this specifically, or if you say, hey, I'm new to D&D and I want to see what it's all about, you are sitting at a table in a game store. This is an open conversation, and you are welcome to participate as you see fit. Build a stronghold, attract a few farmers, and pretty soon you'll have a village. That's how new towns get started. As carpenters harvest the trees around your stronghold, exposing fertile earth, farmers come to work the land. They bring with them trade, roads, order. Without farms and farmers, your stronghold is just a mysterious tower in the middle of the forest, little known and avoided by locals. With farmers, it's the beginning of a town, part of the great network of civilization. The buildings, shops, and homes we associate with the village begin as a market, temporarily erected by the local farmers at the crossroads by the stronghold. From here, they sell their excess production, the taxes of which benefit the Lord, which benefit everyone. They should, anyway. I'm not going to get any deeper than that, though. The market. Farmers represent a substantive technological improvement over hunting and gathering. A farm with crops and domesticated animals can produce many times the food required to sustain the farmer's family. The excess is traded via carters who regularly pass through and buy and sell at the local market. Taxing this commerce provides income for the lord of the stronghold. The stronghold produces 100 gold per season per farmer on your land. Farmers also enjoy having a place to drink ale, talk, and relax after a hard day's work before they return home to their families. This place is called a tavern, and thus a small town is born. They give an example farmer, and now we move into masons as another retainer that can come along on your fortified adventure. Oh, gotcha, Corrida. All right. You saw the cover for it and thought it'd play a lot. See, there's a particular theme or instance in the manga and anime that everyone sort of hypes up as this is exactly what the entire thing is about, and it's not. So I get what you're saying, but I think people are having some tongue-in-cheek fun or for the shock value of one of the elements of Goblin Slayer that unfortunately kind of has other aspects to it fall by the wayside underneath this presumption of the content inside of it. Getting a stronghold built in the first place requires a mason, probably several. It's perfectly natural for one to stay around after the thing is done and continue in the Lord's service, going from a hired hand to a permanent fixture. If you attract a mason, there must be a quarry somewhere nearby. This is the equivalent of the artisan's shop. The quarry starts at first level, and the Lord can improve it like any other shop. Having a mason on staff means you pay nothing to repair your stronghold after a siege. Your mason will make free repairs worth 250 gold per quarry level per week. A third level quarry. See, and if you want to tack on all this, there is extra stuff that we do have to keep track of. And I will remind you all that we're getting a lot of like there's this and keep track of these shop levels and everything. Pardon. These are all modular. You do not have to run with these if you do not wish to do so. If you want to make broad presumptions as a DM and say, well, yeah, this will just happen over time, you can do so. If you want to get into the minutia, this document will provide it to you. And even then, you're getting what many, or what is many times been touted as sort of like an abbreviated form of minutia. So don't let all of these references to levels and all this overwhelm you, especially if you've just stopped by like Pneumonica. Hey, Pneumonica. If you just stopped in and maybe you've missed parts and you're like, what is this guy talking about? Quarry levels and retainers, and then how does that compare to a follower? And then what if it's following a rogue, but it's a warlock following, but you're in a sorcerer's domain? Don't worry. We can go, if you have questions, we can go back and hit things up. All right, Corita, yeah, come back when you need to. Miners. If you're lucky enough to place your stronghold near a source of metal, which it turns out you did if you attract a miner, such as a natural cave or a valley dug by an ancient river, you can extract metal near the surface. An experienced miner can survey the terrain in a moment and tell you what kind of rock you're on, what kind of ore can be found underneath, and how long it will take and costly it will be to extract. They bring with them their own experienced crew and often their families. As many as 30 men and women can be working your mine by the end of the first season. The ore extracted from your mine is valuable, and you can sell what you don't use in improving your stronghold and the weapons and armor of your units. A mine produces 500 gold pieces per season. In addition, a mine improves the equipment of some number of your units by 1 level. A light unit becomes medium, medium becomes heavy, etc. This bonus can be applied to 1 unit per mine level. Again, so you're like, whoa, hold on, what? It's all here, and it does work depending on how you want to build this up. And actually, the way this document is being written or presented, it does just that. It presents you the basic concept, and if you're happy with it, stick with the basic concept. You want to go a little bit more detailed and just go outside of what a generic stronghold would be, there's 4 different types. You want to get more detailed than that, we can build. What, is it a bard's theater? Is it a druid grove and not just a temple? And we grow and grow. And then do you want followers? And if so, how many and at what level? The Sage. Every artisan carries with them and by the way, you've seen these roles in the followers above. So again, the document is self-referencing. You can go back and forth and look up what this is, who this person is, and what they provide for you. Hey, Gareth, yeah. Ooh, you brought over Nerdalopedia. Welcome to you all. Or if you're still caught up in Ad Purgatory, I'll hold on for 30 seconds. Every artisan carries with them a long list of skills and traditions to help them craft their wares. But for the Sage, knowledge isn't a means to an end. Knowledge is an end unto itself. Each sage is not only an expert in a wide array of obscure subjects, but also part of a large network of fellow sages. Hey, there we go. Hi, Nerdalopedia. Gareth said, look who I brought over, and I saw you were raiding, but then, of course, there's Ad Purgatory, and I didn't want to be like, well, hi, and then, oh, you didn't hear that because you were in an ad. Yep, I totally understand, Nerdalopedia. Had your stream open elsewhere, so I didn't have to go through ads again when you came back. Pro strats, Gareth. Pro strats. Nerdalopedia, welcome. We're going through the followers section of this supplement. And if you all want to stick around, if you have questions or you're following along, you are welcome to ask them or just have The gentle, soothing tone of my voice going on in the background while you go about your business. Yeah, for once, Nerdalopedia isn't me tonight, it's the GM. Each sage is not only an expert in a wide array of obscure subjects, but also part of a large network of fellow sages, scribes, and librarians, a constant and largely secret flow of information going back and forth. Your sage grants you access to the sage background ability. If your sage doesn't know the answer to your question, they know where the answer can be found. J.M. Von Cat, welcome to you. So, Nerdalopedia, given this content, you'll have to be specific because you have a Matt reading a work written by a Matt. The library. Give your sage a week to search the library and cross-reference the various scrolls, tomes, and codices within, and they can give you secret knowledge of the enemies you plan to fight. Obviously, you'll need to tell your sage what foes you'll soon go up against. If you know exactly the kind of monster you're about to fight, and your sage has the time to do the research, you gain one of the following advantages in combat against that type of creature. You have advantage on your next attack roll against such a creature. You negate one resistance of such a creature on your next attack roll. Such a creature has disadvantage on its next saving throw against your spells or abilities. You can use the chosen advantage on a number of attacks equal to the level of your sage's library, after which you must take an extended rest to recharge this ability. Your sage also knows the location of the nearest codex. It may be hidden in a ruin within a few miles of your stronghold, or it may be 100 miles away in the library of the king's archmage. But your sage knows its whereabouts. And here's an example sage that is given to you. No, you're fine, Nerdalopedia. And, oh, Kat, yeah, you're with Nerdalopedia? Well, welcome to you. And, yeah, Nerdalopedia, you got to make Gareth work for it. But there's some cool stuff that a Wizard's Tower can provide. Fingers stained black with ink, the scribe is not an author but a craftsman. Part tanner, part alchemist, the scribe spends their time curing hide for vellum and mixing rare chemicals for inks. In a pre-technological world, the ability to read and write is neither common nor particularly valued. Heralds post and read proclamations. A constable or reeve might be able to read enough words in the typical legal document to make out, but otherwise the act of letter writing is reserved for priests and wizards and educated city folk. Scribes, therefore, also act as aids for diplomatic communications. When the Lord wants to send a message to their allies, the scribe is summoned. Scribes are expected to be conversant in many written languages and capable of translating at least between Common, Elvish, and Dwarvish, sometimes Draconic, and sometimes rare and obscure or dead languages found in the kinds of tomes recovered from ruins and donjons. But of course, the most valued use of a scribe for the adventuring lord is the crafting of scrolls. The tannery. Magical scrolls require rare and unique chemicals to make inks, as well as special tanning techniques to cure the vellum in a tannery. All parchment is made from cured animal hide, but vellum is especially durable, resistant to both flame and water, and well suited to holding the unique inks used in a magical scroll without running or fading over time. A scribe would never consider inking onto paper. A paper scroll wouldn't survive long in the conditions the typical adventuring lord is used to. If a spellcaster of appropriate level is present for at least an hour, a scribe can craft a magic scroll in a fraction of the time, etc., so forth. And there, we have a type of function that is there. I'm skipping over some of the content that are the minutiae or the details because I don't want to read everything on stream. And I want to leave it up to you that if you want to engage with this supplement, really you are going to pick and choose the details that you want to take from it. Ah, the spy. A very familiar looking face. both the burned and unburned portions. An establishment lets you know what's going on in a local area, that the other nobles, guilds, churches, and secret societies are up to, but stare too long into the abyss and you may notice it stares back. Your spy makes it much harder for your enemies and even your allies to know what you're up to. Your spy increases the DC for agents spying on you by 3 + 1 level per your spy's network. In addition, your spy knows which nearby folk might be interested in signing on to your service. Each time you roll in your followers chart, the spy lets you increase or decrease your roll by up to 3 + 1 per level. We're talking about a lot of little rolls and charts and whatnot. If you're just here and you're like, ugh, don't worry. This is all, they're components. It's modular. You can pick and choose what you want, and by the time that we've reached this part of the book, it's already built on options that are slowly growing in complexity into how you want to build these concepts into or onto your campaign. Vale, you like this supplement too? Probably just got a hold of a house, but still have to make payments on it. So before we get to Strongholds and Followers, we got to play Animal Crossing, and Nerdalopedia is Tom Nook. Just before Prophecy was starting to say the city was going to be destroyed. Hey, Dale. Okay, I know Delcorn was in here. I had to double check. It is Daily. Hello, Daily. Greetings, all. Sorry I'm late. Snuck in off night of Storm King's Thunder because we're about to hit a 3-week hiatus. Yep, them's the holidays, Daily. Well, welcome to you. You know, hey, better late than never. You know you're always you're welcomed and enjoyed here. We've been going through the followers content in this supplement. And we have one more type of follower left, the tailor. A tailor's job is literally to make you look good. They're experts in fashion and keep up to date on all the latest trends, not just in clothing, but also style and taste and manners. Having a tailor in your retinue means you not only look good, but you know how to act. You better know how to create the reactions you're looking for in your allies and your enemies. Subtle changes to appearance and behavior act as a force multiplier for your natural charisma. Not every regent yearns for a good tailor. The barbarian considers such finery a sign of the corrupt and decadent cancer men call civilization, but many rulers consider a good tailor a necessity. The tailor's workshop. With a tailor in your retinue, you can, as a reaction, replace the result of any charisma-based skill check with a 12 before adding bonuses. This can be done a number of times equal to your tailor's shop level, after which you must take an extended rest, which is a week inside your stronghold, to refresh this ability. Ambassadors. The rulers of some nearby culture know about you and your new stronghold and domain, and they want an alliance. That, of course, may take some time and negotiation, so in the meantime, they've sent an ambassador. Ambassadors allow you to purchase units from their ancestry as though they were friendly. If you are ever awarded units you didn't buy, by rolling on a follower chart or adding a keep to your castle, for instance, then the new units can be from the ambassador's ancestry if you wish. An ambassador is a representative not only of another species, but of another government. An orc ambassador isn't a representative for all orc kind. They represent a specific tribe of orcs. Their goal is to eventually sign an accord, either officially or unofficially, but for now, they're happy just having a representative in your court who can advise you and ideally pave the way for a more lasting alliance. These are rewards, not enemy spies. Waggle, waggle, waggle. They are diplomatic opportunities for the player. Part of the reward, now if you want to make them a spy, you can, but this document continually encourages you, if your players are going to invest in the game, and the world, and the land, and their responsibilities, please try not to pull the rug out and make them suspicious and pessimistic. Pardon. They are diplomatic opportunities for the player. Part of the reward for building a stronghold, and part of the reward. Players may be suspicious of this stranger who arrives promising military aid cheap, but you should encourage them, even tell them explicitly if necessary, this ambassador will work with you. Of course, this could present some amazing narrative and role-playing opportunities down the line if events unfold that drive a wedge between the PC and their ambassador. But as long as this is a natural development of events, and the player understands this, it should be fine. Allies. You might end up rolling on the special allies chart based on your alignment and attract something really interesting like a black dragon or a sphinx or a stone giant. Unlike followers, allies don't actually work for you, as they are often way more powerful than your character. You can't give them orders and expect them to obey, but they are interested in helping you. They are local personalities who've been watching your development, they approve, and they arrive interested in doing you a favor. And here's a little bit of an RP scenario for adding, and thus our new special allies recruited. A nice like roleplay prompt back and forth. You're leaving early. All right, Nerdalopedia, be well. Thank you for the raid and for bringing all the other nerds over as well. You know I always appreciate it when you guys stop by, guys and girls. Science are killing me. Yep, so be well, and Merry Christmas to you if I don't see you beforehand, if you do celebrate. Diadems is giving Daily a task here. Black Echo, welcome. I'm newish to D&D. I finished your first campaign the other day. Well, congratulations, welcome. This is a place where you can share your stories. You can ask questions. This is a workshop environment, Black Echo. We are here to help encourage and recruit new DMs, or if you are a new DM and you want some polish, we can certainly help advise you. You can bring up situations and we can maybe answer some questions you've had. Or if you just want to share your story and, sort of like in a tavern environment, we'll all raise our sodas or waters or teas or whatever we have with us. We'll raise them and welcome you into the fold as another fellow storyteller. I'm very happy you found this channel and you decided to give it a chance and speak up. Oh, yeah, that happens. Oh, even as a player, you're still a storyteller. You're still a part of things. In fact, you're a co-DM, really, is what it comes down to. But yeah, unfortunately, IRL gets in the way, doesn't it? Stupid IRL. What are we doing with it, right? But yeah, Black Echo, welcome. This is a friendly place for you. Not in that, everyone gets a trophy, like, oh, you play D&D, yay. No, like, I want to have some meaningful contact. If you want to share your story, or again, if you have questions, you've come to the right place, Black Echo. A role-playing game isn't a storyteller and others. Well, yeah, everyone involved is a part of the story, Corita. It was from the first book to help us get used to the stuff. I played a non-binary Goliath barbarian. Well, I hope you had fun with the character. Do you have some particular highlights from your, did you do some great feat of strength, or was your back against the wall, things were looking grim, and some fortune or even ill fortune happened that caused something memorable to occur, whether it's good or bad? Well, yeah, Corey. So everyone is involved because it is a storytelling process. I do agree. No, that's fine. I'm not upset or anything, Corita. Well, right, because I mean, you were saying what was expressed, and so I was reading it. I was going along, and I was encouraging, like, exactly, yes. You're fine. Don't worry about it, Corita. Well, I'll tell you what, Black Echo, if you're typing out a story, there we go. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to go maybe get a big cup of water here. I'll read your story over here real quick. We'll take a break and come back in like 5 minutes or so. And if you want to continue sharing, or if you have questions, whether you Black Echo or someone else, you are certainly welcome to do so. We'll be in sort of a free, open discussion period, and it's wonderful meeting players new and old, hearing stories, and sharing those experiences that you forge with your friends at the tabletop, whether it's virtual or IRL. Yeah, what's IRL? Black Echo said, I had a 20 strength, so like whatever I went into a rage, I basically acted kind of more dumb and focused on ripping people in half. I tried to cut a horse from some web and rolled a 20, ended up making 3 horses. Oh my. That's quite the rage. Ugh. Well, I guess you had some rations to last you for a while. Oh, goodness, Daily. Daily, I absolve you. You don't have to write it 1,000 times. I forgive you, Daily. You've already made it to the principal's office. The teacher sent you to the principal's office, and the principal's just going, you're fine. I'll tell you what, Daily, if you want to make it up to me, then I don't know. You're already here. I appreciate that. Well, you don't need to worry about sharing all 1,000. I promise. But if you do have a fun story from your Storm King's Thunder adventure, then you can always share that instead. You have your next campaign that's connected to your last one. I'm playing a Minotaur Barbarian, but my rolls are lower, so I'm going to have fun failing. I don't like using spell slots. And you know what? If that might be the type of player that you grow to enjoy, or you might play melee characters for a while and say, you know what? Maybe I'm going to split the two. I'm going to play a bard, right? You can wield a sword and cast some spells. And then eventually, who knows, 5 years from now, Black Echo, you might be Sorcerer Supreme. And being able to harness elemental powers and spell slots are no big deal to you. You want more spell slots. But you know what, Black Echo? If you're having fun, it sounds like you're getting into your character. You're finding this to be empowering. And I'm just really glad that you have found a positive experience in the hobby. Gareth plays casters. Even when I do martial, I usually end up multi-classing. Always the dabbler, that Gareth. Always the dabbler. All right, I'll be back in a couple minutes. If you need to refresh, take a quick break yourself. We'll come back and we'll continue conversations and see where we go from here.